Hey guys, Brass Facts here. I'm sure many of you have seen this live stream that was aired on the 15th. If you haven't, I'll save you the trouble, don't. But regardless, it made me get off my ass and create this video. Not as a rebuttal to the live stream, but as a script I had mostly finished laying around that is tangentially related to the topic that we did discuss in that live stream, so I modified this and then kind of sent it out. Before I get started, because I know you guys, you will want my opinions, and if I don't give it to you, you will obliterate the comment section with Matt Pranka hate, so let's get it out of the way. If you sift through the drunken ramblings, contradictions, and complete lack of desire to actively engage in a back and forth, Matt Pranka's point of view is not fundamentally or technically an incorrect one. He states skill does and should matter when assessing the validity of what comes out of someone's mouth, and those that cannot shoot should be taken significantly less serious versus someone that does. Ignoring the very black and white nature of it, I think that is a perfectly valid position to have. Similarly, I don't think the internet sentiment that Matt or Lucas, for that matter, thinks civilians shouldn't be trained is remotely accurate. Lucas's work speaks for itself, and Matt has a very focused job, and not being able to or having room in the schedule for civilians is fine. He also uploads a lot of content for a lot of people free of charge for you to improve yourself. So a lot of the comments, especially the ones that are kind of taking sound bites completely out of context, I think are a little bit or a lot of bit unfair. Dude's getting a lot of hate. Some of it is justified, but a lot of it is kind of barking up the wrong tree in my opinion. So I would prefer if we didn't get into the comment section. That being said, I do disagree fundamentally on certain things that he said. Specifically, with the black and white nature of it, the bar of skill required to have a seat at the table or discussion, as well as the importance of all other factors that are definable by match score, like market knowledge, use of gear in a wide environment across more than one discipline, and the ability to construct a logical argument or position that can stand alone without a need to appeal to authority. Caleb Giddings, a very good competitive shooter's interaction with Paul Harrell, RIP, is a good example of where raw skill alone is not enough to be the whole picture. Okay, we got that out of the way, let's do the actual video. So the premise of this is a question I've been getting increasingly over time. Brass facts, what gives you the right to inform people when there are so many more that are more qualified to do so? And I get it, viewership is a zero-sum game, there are only so many views to go around, and by me having an audience, I'm using up some of those views, potentially crowding out more knowledgeable, experienced, better shooters that would have hypothetically served a better audience. The easy, cop-out, but mostly true answer is YouTube is a really good medium at showing you exactly what you want to see, most of the time. So if someone has an audience, and a consistent audience, it's because, by and large, people want to watch their stuff. The viewer goes to the creator, not the other way around. And I think most people are of that mindset, but that doesn't actually help anyone, nor is all that productive at getting at the bottom of the question. What gives me the right to inform their audience? What do I bring to the table that justifies my seat at it? This all sounds very self-indulgent, and it absolutely is. I promise normal content will resume shortly. I think some people will perhaps find it interesting when I open this with saying I agree with much of the criticism. I am not the best choice to fill my little niche on the internet. In theory, there could be many more that stand in my place and do a better job. I've name-dropped Chuck Pressburg many times, but I'll do so here again. He, in my mind, is one of the few who can articulate and structure a good point, who also has the experience to back those points up and really drive it home with anecdotes and real-world experiences. Back when I was looking to create this channel, if we had existed in a world of only those like Chuck Pressburg doing gear reviews, preparedness content, and skill building, then I would have never created this channel. But we don't live in this world. As you know, Chuck Pressburg doesn't really do that type of content. He's a trainer primarily. We had good shooters back then, yeah, but most of them focused all on training. That was the big thing. We have those that are very much into preparedness, but those guys were all skies falling types and extremely unappealing to me. And on top of all that, anyone with real-world experience, that pedigree if you will, would only ever teach tactics, skills, philosophy, and how to shoot from the perspective of someone who has spent the majority of their adult life in the military, unable to understand that civilians' contexts and needs were not the same. I was also distinctly disenfranchised by the quality of gear reviews at the time. None of them were really any good. So that's why I created the channel. And I think in that context, it answers the question, at least partially. My mandate, if you will, is that I have, in my very, 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 very small way, moved the general serious preparedness community
into a more reasonable direction and approach of preparedness while still being involved around fully kitted up civilians. I, once again, absolutely am not the best hypothetical person to fill this niche, but this niche does need to be filled, and the fact that the Dirty Civilian channel, a basically more refined version of my channel, exploded in very short order is a good indicator of it.
This video is sponsored by Venture Surplus. Yo, sup? Black Friday surplus gear. Cheap gear made, well, cheaper. November 12th to the 29th, we're probably most of the way through the month now, 25% off for clothes and other items up to 50% off. Add my 10% discount code and you'll get close to 60% off. That's how math works. Venture Surplus is a great place to go and rapidly fill capability holes in your life and to randomly impulse buy stuff on the front page. Take your pick. You need a combat shirt to go out shooting with the boys more? Done. It's getting cold, great cold weather layers and more. Done. Want to buy a TQ for $10? Well, actually Venture doesn't do that, but they do offer legitimate cats down to $26 a piece. Poncho liners, also on sale. Take your pick, really. It's Black Friday. What do you want me to say?
I think it's gonna blow your gloves apart.
Hold on.
You think so?
Hold on, I'm going down range.
You think it's that powerful? It's a 12 gauge. It's a 12 gauge.
It's
blank.
not gonna do anything. It's just gonna smoke out the end of his hand.
Someone have a TQ on standby?
Yeah, I got one right here.
My med kit's in my ruck right there.
I'm right here.
All right,
I'm good
let's
to go.
see it.
It's okay, because I'm not going to use it. I just wanted him to know that he's...
Well, now you're making me nervous. Now you're making me think it's,
It's
actually
gonna be
blow up.
fine.
Fucking blank, dude.
With no effort of a smooth transition, the second criticism often leveled in addition to this is, okay, Brassfax, I agree with you, you fill a niche, I like your style with preparedness content, whatever, but you spend so much time on gear reviews, it's hard to take you seriously when you push gear over skill. Hop put it best before he got incredibly drunk.
That's why gear reviews exist. That's why product reviews exist. It's because there's always somebody who's just about to get into it. The people who've been doing it for a long time, who have old gear, their old gear is still fine. In that sense, the gear doesn't matter. Sure, if you've already got the gear doesn't matter. If you don't have any gear, the gear matters because you have to have the gear.
I think most of the current crop of channels, T-Rex Arms, Hot, Dirty Civilian, A Regular Guy Training, Focus Trip, shit, even Ben Stoger, all talk about gear close to 50% of the time, give or take. Some of those guys can shoot kind of well, some of those guys shoot incredibly well, but all of them, I think, don't really care if you buy the gear. We want to provide information to a new buyer, an old buyer that needs new kit, whatever. When we were growing up in the firearms community, we had to watch mostly complete garbage, what does it say on the back of box type reviews, and that cost us a lot of time, money, effort, and frustration. You can say, just go ahead and try it yourself, and I mean, a lot of those guys did. That's how the channels were ultimately built. For a normal person out there that prepares, trains, commits to the lifestyle, but ultimately still has a family, a life, kids, grinding Kappa and Tarkov, it is functionally impossible to be well informed in isolation without putting in a ton of time and legwork. So that's obviously where, gear reviews come in. We step in, we do the legwork for you to the best of our ability to help you make whatever choice you need to make in an informed fashion. One of the panelists mentioned talking about how he has over 20,000 hours on a single LPVO. Sure, yes, but I and many other reviewers also have that 20,000 rounds on that one LPVO. But we also have 5,000 to 2,000 rounds on all the other LPVOs on the market.
In the same way that it was mentioned that skill and pedigree are critically important to validate a person's opinion and what he is saying, it is also, in the context of gear reviews, critically important that that person has a wide understanding of different gear. If all you've ever used is what you were issued in the military and then you come out and review a single piece of gear, then you will lack the information to create a quality, informative review, and you're essentially just stating the obvious, what it says on the back of the tin. Now, I always, once again, I'm saying this over and over, I will always value a GM or M's shooting advice over someone who is far worse at shooting on the topic of shooting. But I will also take Hop's advice on night vision gear, AK Operators Union's advice on AK, and C-Does' opinion on optics, because those guys live, breathe, and obsess over these things in a way a professional shooter does not. Are any of these guys master tier shooters? No. That doesn't discount their opinion on their area of expertise. Yes, in isolation, the phrase, skill matters more than gear, is still true. It always will be true. It's the Indian, not the arrow. But what if the Indian doesn't have an arrow yet? Or what competent Indian
that knows his craft doesn't try and seek out a good arrow.
Nova, lick him.
Okay, thanks. It's good though. I'm good. I don't need to be licked.
I think you do. Nova, lick him.
Don't lick him. Don't lick him, Nova. No.